So, Mr. Discipline, oh, and there he is. There we start. 31 gate, da 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 da. So, we're in the 31 gate, cross of the unexpected. So, actually, we're half a year later. We're half a year on the wheel. We completely go to the other side. So, let's do a little introduction for the 31st gate. So, we jump into the 31st gate. Influence, to put it on you. Oh, they put it on you. It's always interesting for me that all politicians put their hand up. They put both hands up. They put one hand up, but they're always doing this. It's always the same. Not only that, when you put in it in the grab hold of something, when you think influenza, it gives you an idea of what influence is. It goes inside. It only does it go inside. It comes, binds you with in there and brings you in line with it chemically. Oh, it's a powerful gate. It's the channel of leadership, the alpha. Leadership for good or bad. And when you look at the first line, that's exactly what you're looking for. Hitler, 31-1. It can be so dark that nobody ever sees it. It can be so light that nobody ever sees it. But it's one of the things to understand about the nature of influence, that it's physical. And how do you become influential? You distract. It's what you learned from the 56. And you obscure what you learned from the 62. Remember that the left angle is all about transpersonal. How do you hook up the transpersonal level, the deep hidden web of fractals? Well, if you want to be a leader, you know how to do it. You combine obscuration with distraction, and you can rule. And you don't know what's the truth. Don't know. Don't we know that's the truth? Everybody knows the truth. You look at the leadership, democratic dictatorship, this or that, they all operate under the same rules, obscuration and distraction. I thought it was wonderful. Saturday Night Live last week in the States, they have the 9/11 Commission that is investigating why they couldn't stop bin Laden, and Condoleezza Rice, which is one of the security advisors to Bush. There was all the stuff about not wanting to testify on the oath in from the community. And Saturday Night Live had Janet Jackson, who was in a lot of trouble in America because her breast was exposed at the Super Bowl game. There's a routine that they do in when she's advised by Cheney that if she gets into trouble in front of the committee, to simply open up her blouse and show her breast, because the distraction would really work and get her breast in the front cover of the newspapers instead of bin Laden. All governments operate through laws of distraction and obscuration. There was Jose Aznar saying, oh, edit it. Let's distract them for a moment. Let's obscure things for a moment. It's the political way. It's not like they're bad or whatever. Don't get it. This is the way the program insists we lead. Not only that, it tells you something that those that are lead are designed to be led by obscuration and are designed to be led by distraction. It tells you a lot about humanity and the not-self. I can make fun of that. You can get this kind of, yeah, it's funny. I know it's funny, but then again, the regard that the program has for us is revealed in this. Don't tell them the truth. And if there's a problem, distracting them from it so they won't ask you the truth. So the right angle cross of the unexpected, 1-3. So the 1-3 can be very, very cruel authoritarians. And they can be very cruel authoritarians because the anarchy that they see from the time they come into the world, that their personality is convinced that the only thing that you can do end up to anarchy is to impose powerful leadership, being in the boss. And one of the things of the first line of anything wants to be the boss of it. But when you have the first line of the 31, you're so naturally authoritarian that this creates tremendous problems. These are babies that bark at their mothers. Obviously, they're going to find out a lot about what authority is. They're going to explore how you influence the other, and they're going to be very, very powerful as children. It's very difficult for 31 ones. I've watched all my life. It's very difficult for them to externalize their influence. And most of it is because of the nature of the 1-3, that deep, uncomfortable pessimism with the instability of leadership, the lack of strength. When we look at leaders in the Western context, we're always measuring them relative to their strengths and weaknesses. It's why most of us come from a tradition where our ancestors were always being dealt with only leaders who bore strength. The bigger you were, the more power you had. They realized right away, these children, that if you're not in charge yourself, that you cannot trust anybody to lead properly. So you end up being very isolated children wanting to run their own lives. When you meet a 1-3 on this cross, you know right away that they're going to be very, very self-contained in their process. They're going to influence themselves. Now, this is the cross of the unexpected. On the cross of the unexpected, expect the unexpected. It doesn't have this name for nothing. And none of the most extraordinary things about the cross of the unexpected, it's a discovery cross. Planets have been discovered on this cross. Many things have been discovered in science on this cross. It's the unexpected, out of nowhere. And this is also some of the things about the expression about some are called to power, some are born for power. This kind of thing. These are beings that unexpectedly could be of influence unexpectedly. It's not consistent. We don't want to live in a world where everyone is a leader. That's not what the program wants. Most of these beings are simply their own authorities, the kings in their own castles, the queens in their own castles, the bosses of their little cubby holes, the bosses of their little departments, whatever it may be, this minimalized field of influence. But you are the 1-3 opportunity to be influential is something that can only bump into you. Then the 1-4. The 1-4 have another dilemma. All ones, as we know, have the opportunity to study enough so that in their security they can be influenced in what they can express. Remember, it's a throat gate. It's the throat gate that says I lead or I don't lead. It's also a throat gate that says my way or the highway, baby. And so most of the time they only lead themselves. Until you get to the 4th line personality here, you're going to get to the potential of leading others then through the unexpected. And it's the unexpected. Basically, the leadership is the byproduct of the research of the right angle. The right angle finds something out. The finding out is the unexpected influence that they can have. They may discover something that has an influence on generations to come. And that discovery was simply their own trial and error process that all of a sudden the unexpected popped out. With the 1-4, they would really like everybody to know that they're an influence, but they don't trust it. One of the things that we don't really look at as we go around the wheel is that the personality aspect of these crosses are what we think of as ourselves. And of course, the design is not. When you're going around, you may have the possible personality in the 31 gate, but there's also kinds of unexpectedness around. There are all these kind of things that can happen, and there is no real consistency. The 1-4 wants nothing but consistency, wants to be able to exude his influence in a consistent way and not to have anything unexpected show up. And when you see the 1-4 here, and you see the 4-6, and you see the 4-1, and you see the 2-4, the 4 variation, what you're really looking at is a deep resistance to surprise. If there's anything that the history teaches is that the most influential beings on this planet have all been rather surprising, unexpected examples. It's never what you expect. I'm not talking about the political leaders. This is another formula. I'm talking about leadership, leading informed principle, those that influence others. And here to influence can be deep and it's always unexpected. So the 4s are very uncomfortable in this configuration with surprises. They would rather just focus on being an influence. After all, if you're on a cross that contains the 31 gate and you're a 4-line being, hey, I'm supposed to be home here. I am, by my nature, influential through my 4th line. Here I am, a gate of influence. This should be the place where I have the most consistent influence. And the moment they think that the way it is, bang, the unexpected show up. So the mother and the father have set certain rules in the childhood, and they get divorced. And a new force comes into the house, and the rule changes, and the 1-4 is totally messed up. It's foundation, the solid foundation, no surprises. That's what I want to be the boss. I want to make sure there are no surprises, none. If you're going to go anywhere, you tell me. You tell me when you're going away. You tell me when you're coming back. I don't want any surprises. I don't want how much it costs before I buy it. I don't want any surprises. I want to know what's going to be like when I get there. I don't want any surprises. I don't want to be surprised at all. So, big not self story there. So yeah, good luck with that.